Hi everyone, I am Radhika. Welcome back to my YouTube channel Dataset. This is video number 2 in our dbt series. In my previous video, I've already mentioned that I'm going to be explaining about different components of dbt using a project, and I have selected HR Analytics as our domain for this project. In this video, we are going to be covering 4 topics. First is I'm going to be giving you a dataset overview, like what is the dataset that we are working with. Then we're going to be understanding what are the questions that we need to answer using this data, as this will help to build foundations of what our dbt pipeline should look like. Then the next is architecture overview of this particular project. And then lastly, we will be discussing the Medallion architecture. If you are learning about data engineering and this made things clearer for you, then please do consider subscribing to my channel. I post beginner friendly videos like this every week. And now without further ado, let's get started. This is the CSV file that we will be using, but we will not be directly ingesting this as a CSV file. Rather, we are going to upload this CSV file on AWS S3. If you don't know about how to use AWS S3, then please don't worry. I will be teaching that to you from scratch. But let's focus on this CSV file for now and try to understand or take a look at all the columns that are present here. So the first column is age. age. Then we have attrition. Attrition is if the employee has left the business or not. Employee having any business travel is indicated by this business travel column. Then we have daily rate of the employee. So what is their daily rate? Then the department to which this employee belongs to. Distance from home for this particular employee. Then the education level and what is the education field. Then the employee count. This is kind of a redundant column in this particular data set, and I forgot to mention that I got this data set from Kaggle, and I will mention the link in the description of this video. Then we have employee number. So this is the unique number that is going to uniquely identify each of these employees which are sitting in the CSV file. Then the environment satisfaction, how much are they satisfied. Then comes the gender of the employee, their hourly rate. So initially we had daily rate, but this is hourly rate. Then how much are they involved in the job? So job involvement. What is their job level? So is their job level 1, 2, 3 or 4, 5? So what's their category? And then the job role, in which role they are currently employed. Then we have job satisfaction. How much satisfied are they with the current job? What is their marital status? Then their monthly rate, then monthly income. So this data set is also having information about compensation. Then number companies worked. So how many companies they have worked prior to this particular job? Are they over 18? Do they work overtime? Yes or no? Then their percentage salary hike. How much hike have they had in their salary? And what is their performance rating? What is their relationship satisfaction? Then the standard hours that they work. Stock option level, if the employee is offered stocks, then what's the option level that they are offered. Then the total working years of this employee. Training time last year, so how many times the employee went into training last year. Then the work-life balance of the employee, how much do they feel they have work-life balance while being employed in this particular company. Years at company, so how many years have they been with the company. Years in the current role, so they could be like 6 years into the company, but they could have switched roles in those 6 years. So their current role they've been pursuing, like for this particular employee, this is pursuing this current role since 4 years. Then years since their last promotion. Years with their current manager, this shows that how long have they been working with a particular manager. And then created at, so when was this particular data created. This is that Kaggle link that I was talking about. From here, I have downloaded the data. The only difference is I have just added a new column which is called as created date, because I wanted to show you the snapshotting function which is available in dbt. Don't worry about what a snapshot is. We're going to be discussing that when I will be showing you how to create a snapshot. So I have added that column, and also the columns such as daily rate, hourly rate, they were not making sense. So I have just tried to update this data. So you might find that there are some changes in both of these columns because I have made those changes. So these are the only 3 or 4 differences that I have done with this data. Otherwise, the full data is coming from the Kaggle profile. Now we know that how our data looks like. So we have done the dataset overview, and now let's move to questions that we need to get answered from this dataset. So the way I have thought about structuring this project is I have thought about 2 different personas, which is HR team and the payroll and managers. So for these 2 personas, we have to give them data models with respect to whatever their needs are. So the constraints for the HR team is that they cannot see the compensation data, like they cannot know the exact salary of the employee, either hourly rate, daily rate, or anything. So this we need to ensure that they don't see. And for HR team, we are going to do attrition risk analysis, which means they are going to analyze if the employee, like who is at the risk of leaving the company or what patterns drive attrition. These are the some answers that they want from this particular data. So we're going to create a mart for them, which is attrition risk analysis. And for the payroll and managers persona, they can see all types of data. They have the highest privileges, so they can see all types of data. And we're going to be doing compensation and seniority analysis for them. So they're looking for answers like, are employees being paid fairly, or how does the pay rate relate to their experience? So these are the questions that they're looking to understand from the data. So we have to create a data model which can give them these answers. So we will be building 2 different marts or 2 different gold models. It will make more sense when I will be explaining the medallion architecture, but this is what we are essentially doing in this project. So we will be grabbing this raw data, which is the CSV file, put into an S3 bucket, and then final models will be 2 different models, one for the HR team and one for the payroll and managers team. So now we have also understood what are the questions that we need to be answered from this data set. So I'll tick this one as well. Now the next is, what is the architecture that we are using in this dbt project? And it is very important to understand this architecture because this will form the basis of how we are going to proceed with our project. So let's understand this now. So for this project, I have already shown you the CSV file. So now this CSV file, we are going to get this into AWS S3 bucket. If you don't know what a S3 bucket is, S3 stands for Simple Storage Services. Simple Storage Services. Now in this S3 bucket, we can store any type of data. It can be structured data or it can be unstructured data. So this S3 bucket acts as a data lake. We can store any kind of data over here. Now, once we have pushed our data into this S3 bucket, then we're going to suck this data into our Snowflake account. So now this Snowflake is acting as our data warehouse. We're just going to ingest the data from S3 bucket into Snowflake. Now you might have a question that Snowflake also provides functionality to directly upload CSV files. So why are we first pushing CSV data onto the S3 bucket and then pulling this into Snowflake? So the thing here is, when you will be working in companies, then they will not just give you one CSV file and ask you to create data models on top of that. You will have to ingest data from multiple places. And those places, one of those places could be S3 bucket. So using this exercise, it gives you an idea of how you can connect your S3 account with Snowflake and get data into your Snowflake from your S3 bucket. So that's why we are doing this. Then once we have our data in Snowflake, then we can apply transformations on top of it using dbt. So we will connect our dbt with Snowflake. So once we do this, then it is important to know that dbt is not having any compute and it is not having any storage. So for compute and storage, we would still use Snowflake, but for transformations, we are going to use dbt. So dbt is going to apply transformations on the data that it is receiving from Snowflake, and the compute and storage that is required will be coming from Snowflake itself. So we get the data, we apply the transformations and store the data back into Snowflake. So then this will be our transformed data that is going into Snowflake. And then from Snowflake, we can connect to Power BI, we can give this to data scientists, we can give it to machine learning engineers so that they can do their own work on top of the data models that we have created. So essentially what we are doing is we have our raw data. We are first pushing it into AWS. Then from here we will have our Snowflake where we are just doing load. So this is just extract and load which is happening here. And then dbt is going to do transformations. So here we are using ELT type of structure. So we are first extracting, then loading. So we are extracting from here, loading here, and then doing transformations in dbt. This looks like a complicated setup, but when we will be going through the process, it's really easy. So please stay with me till the end of the video, and I'm sure you will be able to do this project end to end and add it to your resume as well. I also want to go through the tools and technologies that we are using here so that you get an idea of the depth of the project. So for IDE, we are using VS Code. You can choose any IDE of your choice. It could be PyCharm or anything else, but I am very comfortable with VS Code, so I'm using this. Then we are using S3 bucket as we have seen in the architecture to dump our CSV file onto this S3 bucket. So this is our data lake. Then for Snowflake, we are using this as a data warehouse. And then we are using UV for virtual environment. So you might have created virtual environment using pip, but nowadays people have started using UV as it is way faster and easier than using pip. So we're going to be seeing how we can create virtual environment in VS Code using UV. Then we are using obviously dbt for those transformations and GitHub for the version control. And we are using Python. So this is the tools and technologies that we are using. And in dbt, we will be covering everything like models, sources, snapshots, macros, tests, be it generic or custom. There are lots of things in it and I'll be covering everything. So this was what are the tools and technologies that we are using. And now the very last topic, which is Medallion architecture. Most of you might have heard about Medallion architecture, but if you have not, then this would give you an idea of how we are structuring our dbt models. I'm taking this very simple example of an orders table and a products table to explain the Medallion architecture. So in Medallion architecture, we have 3 layers: bronze, silver, and gold. In bronze layer, this is simply our raw data. Silver layer is our cleaned data. And in gold layer, we apply business logic. This is the basic Medallion architecture explanation. But let's understand this, how we can do this using this example. So we have this orders table which has order ID, product ID, and the total of this particular order. And then we have this products table which has this product ID and what is the name of the product. So now for the bronze layer, what we will do is we will get this data exactly into our bronze layer. So bronze model would be the same as our raw data. Then I'm just going to shift this over here. So now this is exactly how our raw data was. Now the second thing to do here is we have to get this data into silver layer. In silver layer, we have to apply transformations, but these are very basic transformations just to clean the data. So how this model would look like in silver layer is we have these product IDs available in our orders table. So instead of these product IDs, we will just get the name. So this is a very basic transformation that we are applying. We are just joining these tables and saying we don't want this product ID column because it does not make any sense for us, but we will get this product name column. So in our cleaned or the silver layer, our orders table would look something like this. We will have order ID, then we will have product name, and then we will have the total. So order ID 101, then 102 and 103. For 101, the product ID is product ID 1, which is a pen. So I'm gonna say pen. This one is also pen and this one is pencil. then the total we are going to stay, these are going to stay as is. So this is how our silver layer would look like for this particular data set. So we are just cleaning the data. We could have updated, let's say if order ID is coming like this and we are using snake case, then in bronze layer what we could have done is we could have just renamed these columns. Like we could have said we need this as order ID, this one as product ID, and this is again going to reflect in our silver layer. So this will be order underscore ID. So these are some things that we do in our silver layer. So we don't apply any business logic, we're just cleaning the data, making it easier to understand. Then from silver layer to gold, we apply the business logic. So business logic could be that we just want to see the aggregated sales for, let's say, products. So in our gold layer, we could just have a mart created which says what is the product ID or product name, and for this product what is the total sales, because we just want to see this data. So then we can just have pen and the total of this is 100 and 105, and for pencil we will have 80. So this is how our gold looks like. So we are just applying some business logic over here, or we are just aggregating the data. That's what is done in the gold layer. This is a very high level overview just to make you understand how the bronze, silver and gold are working. But when we will be going through our DBT project, it will make more sense as to what all things can be done in each of these layers, because we are going to be extensively creating these models. So always remember, for bronze layer, it is just raw data. You just update the column names, make things prettier. Like if this was pen and pencil like this, you could have updated it to say uppercase for the first letter. So you could have updated it like pen and pencil like this to make data cleaner. So these are very basic transformations that you do in the raw layer or the bronze layer. Otherwise, you just pick the raw data as is in the bronze layer. Then in the silver layer, you do the data cleaning stuff. And then in the gold layer, you either apply business logic or you do aggregations so that these are ready for data analyst or data scientists to use. So you create such models that those stakeholders need. Now in the next video, we're going to be doing our AWS S3 setup, Snowflake setup. And I promise there will be less of theory and more of hands-on work from here on. Please let me know how did you find this presentation, or if you have any feedback for me, I would love to hear it from you. Thank you for watching. I will see you in my next one.